I'm coming to you today after having an amazing 11-day adventure in Australia with just my husband, and it was better than I could ever imagine. We were so connected. We were so happy. The idea that you could be somewhere without any responsibility, without having to make any decisions, it was amazing. And I needed it more than I even really realized. So I want to talk to you today about taking trips. It's easy for me to say now, like, yes, this trip, I wanted to do it, I took it. Well, my child's almost 10, and different phases of parenthood have different levels of comfort of leaving your children. For me, I didn't really leave my son until he was 4. That's not a recommendation. That's just what was right for me. I had some anxiety about who was trustworthy enough to watch him, who would do a good enough job. And so I didn't take any real vacations until he was older. That's not the case for everyone. Some people go in the first month. Some people go in the first year. Some people need one night here and there all the time. I want you to think about what you actually might want or need, or what you're comfortable with, as opposed to just taking the advice of others. One of the reasons I loved this trip so much was that it was long enough and far enough that it was a 100% reset for me. Being in Australia, I was 15 hours ahead. So most of the day that I was awake, the US was asleep, and I wasn't getting texts. I wasn't being asked questions. I was taking a break from work, so I didn't have to answer all of the day-to-day problems. I didn't have to parent. I didn't have to do anything for anyone. That is so good. That is so good to occasionally have. We are depleted. We are giving so often. And I didn't have to give anything to anyone. It was lovely. I joked with my husband, I'm so much nicer on a deserted island, right? But that's because there are so many less demands. And also, I'm someone who is sensory sensitive. So I'm touched out often. I'm touched all the time by my child because of sensory seeking needs. And I tolerate that. But it is overwhelming a lot of the time, and it feels like too much all the time. And to have over a week of none of that, my nervous system felt regulated. I was not aggravated. It was really easy for me to just be. And when do you ever get to just be? I learned so much on this trip about what felt better. How do I add that into my day-to-day life? Obviously, I'm still going to be touched by my child all the time. Obviously, I'm still going to be the boss at work, all of these things. But what can I learn about myself to make some changes at home? As you might know, I am a clinical psychologist. I own a group psychology practice where I have a lot of employees. And then I also opened the Center for Balanced Parenthood, where we focus on parenting and have coaching and classes. So there's a lot under my work umbrella. And I know as a working mom, a lot of you don't really have time for yourselves, right? That is, even for moms that stay home, it's hard to have time for yourself. So how do you carve that out? How do you make it a priority for yourself to consider yourself? And there's this thing that gets stuck about being selfish. And a lot of moms I talk to feel like if I do this for me, then it's selfish and I'm not taking care of my kids. And I totally disagree. If you do something for you, that's good for your whole family unit. If you are caring about yourself, if you are thinking about yourself, it does not mean you're selfish. Moms are known for putting themselves last and taking care of everyone else. So you're taking care of your relationship with your partner if you have one. You're taking care of your relationship with each individual child. You take care of each of the relationships, and you have to take care of the relationship with yourself. If you are a disaster because none of your needs are met, how does that help you be a better parent? It gets in the way. So if you take that time, and whether it's 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is, if you start taking that time to heal, to repair, to reset, to care for yourself, you can show up in a healthier, happier way. And that's so helpful for the entire family unit. Your children are going to grow up. They will get more independence with each year. So if you're coming from the place that you can't do anything without me, you can't survive without me, no one else can take as good of care of you as me, we're not instilling the trust that they're going to be able to do things on their own, right? And this is whether they're 1 or 2 or 17. We want them to have independence without us. Erna Furman, who is one of my mentors from Cleveland, she said, mothers are there to be left. That's the hardest part about our jobs. We are there to raise children who can go off on their own. We are there to put the things in place now to help someone who can properly launch. Yes, a helpless infant needs an adult. That is for certain. But as your kids grow up and can do more, can a parent or in-law help? Can a babysitter do a good enough job that you feel safe with your child being there? And I know for some people, like, there isn't support or there isn't the financial ability for a babysitter. And that's different. So maybe that's, a friend takes them for a night, so you have a night together, even if it's not going somewhere. But sometimes we get in our own way with parenting and we love our kids so much and we're like, I don't want to leave you. But are we also giving them the message that, like, you can't live without me? And that's where some of the attachment stuff gets kind of mixed up. We want healthy attachments, not codependent attachments. Sometimes you know that it would be beneficial for your marriage or relationship to go on a trip or have time alone, and sometimes that just isn't feasible now. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's separation, maybe it's financial, maybe it's whatever. And now feels like it isn't the time. That's okay too. Like I said, I didn't go on a trip until my son was 4. And it went great. It was really fun, and so looking back, it's easier to say, oh, I wish I had done that sooner, but I wasn't ready sooner. I was not ready. I had postpartum anxiety that sort of got in the way. I had a child with, some special issues that didn't feel safe in leaving him with other people. Like, we all have reasons why we might delay, but I don't want you to delay it forever. Think about it in baby steps. Okay, maybe you're not ready now. Could you do 6 hours? Could you do just overnight while they're sleeping? Could you do these small things that feel manageable? We call them doing things in bearable bits. Kids need them, but so do we, right? We need small steps sometimes. So, is it that you're just having a date night? Maybe you haven't done that because you're afraid to leave your child. Like, don't listen to other people's advice that you should do more than you're ready for, but take a step. Take a tiny step, because you don't want to stay stuck. We want to move forward, but at your pace. And that's okay. You don't have to do it the way anyone else does. I love that I went on this trip. It would not have been the right trip at any other time. So if someone told me this before, I would have not listened, right? So listen to yourself, but also push yourself. You don't want to stay stuck. If you're feeling stuck, something should shift a little bit. So just take a teeny tiny little baby step forward, because you'll get to where you want to be in your timeline, and respect yourself with that. Take your own time. Consider what your spouse also thinks if they disagree with you, and come up with a plan together. It's not that either of you should be dismissed, but try to figure out together something that will work so you can move forward. Whether you're going to do it now, next week, next month, next year, in 5 years, that's okay. I'm here to say it's okay to take the trip. It's okay to prioritize some of your needs. It's okay to put yourself towards the top every once in a while. It's great to recharge. It's great to think about your own needs, your own break. Motherhood has changed so much. Our to-do lists are never ending. It's a lot. So taking a break is a wonderful thing you can do for yourself when you're ready, and I hope that you will.